Hey guys, this is Yamaha with Simple Keys. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be learning about how to expand chords. Now, this is a very common question I get from students who are just starting out learning how to play music. Most of the questions I get, they're like, hey, how do I expand some of like the basic chord voicings and start playing some of like the chords that you're playing, a little bit more full, beautiful chords. They always try to figure out, okay, what's exactly is going on and what really is like, what are some of the differences in terms of like how I approach music versus how they're approaching it, because they probably already have some of like the basic chords down. So there are a few ways you can look at this. Some of my students want to learn how to play some of these chords, but what I usually find is that they lack a solid foundation to understand how to go about expanding chords, because the ideas behind expanding chords are very, very simple. But if you are missing some key steps in your music development or your music education, you can have gaps. And what ends up happening is that you lack an understanding of what's going on behind the scenes. So even though I am able to expand and make these chords sound really good, really big and fat, it really comes down to understanding a few things. You have to understand the fundamentals of music. You have to understand like your scales, the number system. You have to understand chords, how chords are built. And pretty much this whole simple key system is based on 4 simple steps to understand how to play music by ear. First step is understanding the fundamentals. You have to have a solid foundation, being able to play in all 12 keys, understanding the number system of every key. So we have 12 unique keys in music, and each of those keys have a major scale. Now, if you want to learn how to expand your chords, do you need to learn all 12 keys right away? Probably not, but it helps you infinitely when you know how to play in all 12 keys, because that expands your understanding of music. You can do stuff like and that's because I understand how to play in all 12 keys. Now, if you don't understand that, that stuff is going to go over your head, but it's a very, very simple movement. I'm using the exact same idea, but just moving in different keys. Now, you have to have a solid foundation, like I mentioned. You have to have a good understanding of chords, how chords are formed, how they're built, the difference between a major third and a minor third, and how these combinations create the chords that we know. And there are a lot of chords out there, but really all the chords in music that you'll ever hear really are pretty much summed up in 4 chords. And I break this down in our guide called the Ultimate Guide to Master Chords. One thing that you realize as you hang around this channel is that everything that I've built around simple keys is based off this 4-step system that allowed me to kind of break free, because I'm a classically trained musician. I wasn't able to do any of this stuff. This stuff was too far fetched for me. Everything that I knew was more like classical, recite the music, and that's it. But being able to learn some of these things I'm going to be sharing with you is going to allow you to break free and kind of play music at your own, allow you to break free and play like songs literally just by listening, because you're going to understand how music works, not recite music, but understand how it really works. So when you have a solid foundation, when you have chords and you understand how those chords create progressions, that's really what's going to set you apart to understand how to expand your chords. Because when most students are reaching out and say, hey, can you expand these chords for me, or teach me how to expand chords, most don't necessarily know how to play in all 12 keys. They don't know the number system in those 12 keys, and the number system is simply saying, hey, if I'm in the key of E flat major, what's the 3rd? You should be able to tell me right away it's a G. What's the 7? D. If I'm in the key of E major, what's your 3? What's your 7? What's your 2? If I'm in the key of F major, what is my, I don't know, 5? So you should be able to pick up keys that quickly, and that's kind of like the process of how to understand the fundamentals. When you understand that, the number system from every scale, you can easily build chords. So what I'm going to do in this lesson is we're going to expand some chords, but we're only going to do this in the key of C major. So this is our scale. Our number system is C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, G is 5, A is 6, B is 7, and C is 8. We're back to 1. Okay. So now that we understand our major scale, we now want to go to the next step up, understanding chords. Now, if you know anything about chords, it's broken down in the book on the Ultimate Guides to Master Chords. Chords are based on third intervals. So if I could take the major scale. Now, also one of the reasons I picked C is that it is the only scale that has all white notes, so it's very easy to see. So a major chord in every scale has 7 unique degrees, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and repeats. Now if I take that scale and skip every other tone, and that's what we call a chord or a triad. And this is what a chord is made up of. It's just simply skipping every other note of the scale, and by doing that you actually create the chord of that scale. So this is what we call, let's say, C major chord. It's usually on the first tone, and you want to take it a step further. Once you get these chords down, we have what we call diatonic chords. These are chords that are naturally formed on the scale. You're taking the exact same shape, taking it up the scale. All right, these are diatonic chords. Okay, and these are very, very basic. We're not really doing too much here, but you also have to have a good solid understanding of the difference between majors and minor chords. There are all kinds of different chords, but I break down the 4 chords that you need to know. In this video, we're going to just focus on the majors and the minors, so that way you can see exactly how they work in the grand scheme of things. Okay, so let's just say this is our major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. We're going to switch this one to a major so it sounds a lot more pleasing, and end up the top. Now I'm going to give you guys a simple progression, and then we're going to walk through how to expand chords in that progression. So the progression is going to be, okay, all right, so that's the progression we're going to work with. Now as we get into that, let's quickly break down how to extend chords. We're going to be talking about how to expand chords, but you also have to have a good understanding again of the fundamentals of how chords are built and how to extend those chords. Chord extensions are very, very simple. Pretty much all we're doing is extending our major scale. So let's say this is 7, 8. We usually stop at 8, but what's going to happen now is that we're going to extend this scale into 2 octaves usually. So let's say this is now, when you're creating chords, especially when you're creating chords, not for understanding your scales, but when you're creating chords, because they're made up of triads, this is what we call a major chord, just 3 notes, and it's a triad. Now if I want to extend this chord and make it a 7th chord, and this is really, really simple, guys, that's why you have to understand the number system. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When we get to this 7, if I add that, this is what we call a C major 7th chord. Okay, that's all it is. If you ever see C major 7, and then the C major 9 is 3, 5, 7, 8, 9. That's what we call a C major 9, and that's pretty much it. If you ever see that, if someone says, hey, what's a C major 9, that's what they mean. I'm going to show you guys how to expand this chord and play it in a different way, so it makes, you can see, let's say, a different variation of it. Now if you want to expand your chords, let's say we take a C major, add 9 here, because these are the 2 chords we're going to work with, a major 9, or a major chord and a minor chord, but we're extending the major 9, or the major chord. So this is a major 9 chord here. What I like to do is break this chord into smaller chords. Left hand I'm playing a C major chord, and in my right hand it's almost like I'm playing a G major chord. So these are 2 chords. I'll bring this one down here, and we're still playing a C major 9 now, but if you notice, in my right hand I have what is like a G major chord. So once you add in inversions, you can add so many different voicings to the same C major 9 chord. Okay, well, you can even play C major 7 if you wanted to, but you just play an E minor chord. Okay, same chord, but if I take this into a 9 chord, all right, so I can play that G major chord in different inversions, but it's still a C major add 9 chord. That's one way you can extend a chord. Especially when you're playing with a bass player. And really what I'm also doing in my left hand here is playing, let's say, C major add 9 too. So I'm adding this 9th tone, which is this over here. So like I said before, if you add this 7, 8, 9, that's what we mean by extending. And then 9, 10, 11. This is an 11th, but there's so much tension that we don't use this, you know, so I'll just stop at a 9. Now I'm going to show you a different way I voice this C major 9. So I bring this guy down, I bring this guy down here. I bring this guy down here. And then I take this guy out and I bring it in my bass. This sounds a lot sweeter. So this is what I call C major 9. Same chord, and this is why I think a lot of young students get confused, because they start to see my hand positions and they're like, is that a C major 9? Are you sure? And I'm like, yes, it is. It's the only thing is that we've just played a different inversion of the same chord. It's still the same thing, but instead of maybe playing C major chord here and a G major chord here, we're just going to play the bass here and play a different inversion of that C major 9. And this is what we're going to use in our major chords for this progression that we're talking about. Okay, now that we know C major add 9 chord, you can also use this on every major chord. So let's say we're on that 5th tone, you can also, now this will only make sense if you understand how to play in the key of G major. I'm playing the exact same chord, just in G. Okay, but let's just keep it simple. We're just going to play this G major add 9, C major add 9 right here. Now let's learn our minor 9, minor 7 to minor 9, and we'll probably go up to a minor 11 for this one. It's always easiest to see it in C major, but I'm going to call this A minor. They're exactly the same. The only difference is the starting point. C major starts on C, A minor starts on A, so it's A to A, C major, C to C. Okay, so if I want to make a minor chord, I just play the 1, 3rd, and 5 on the scale. Just add another third, it becomes an A minor 7, or just a minor 7th chord, because now we're extending the chord. So that's how we expand chords. So we have a 7th chord, we want to expand it and want to extend it further. That's what we call a 9, a minor 9. If I want to take it a step further, we can actually play an 11th. Now, I also want you guys to know that when you are playing minor chords, you can go up to a minor 11th, because it does still sound very pleasing. Usually with a major 7th chord, major chords, I can only go up to a major 9th for it to sound pleasing. If I go with a major 11th, there's a lot of tension here because this is a diminished chord when you combine both chords together. And the best way to kind of make this work is if you play this instead. Okay, I won't get into that. Let's go right back to the minor. We've extended it to a 7th. We've gone up to a 9th now, and now we've gone up to an 11th. Okay, now if I break these two chords up, we have an A minor chord and a G major chord again. So this is what we call an A minor 11th chord. And you can also do the same thing that we did before, but if we take that A minor 9 and did almost like something similar. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to keep it simple. We're just going to play this as our A minor 9. All right, so 3, 7, 9. Okay, so these are simple ways you can expand these chords. So our progression was, okay, this is a minor 7th chord here. So a few ways you can expand these chords is, like we know on the minor chord, we can play a minor 7th, we can play a minor 9, and a minor 9 can also be played this way, and that's how we're expanding the chords. And these two chords, this idea is called polychords. You're really just adding two chords at once. So, and the easiest way to see it is just to break it up into smaller chunks. We have an A minor chord here and a G major chord. Now if I go here, so you can actually play an A minor chord, or A minor 7, or A minor 9. Okay, and if I want to even take it a step further, I can bring this guy down here. I can take this guy down here. I can go, and that's what we call an A minor 9 still. So, okay, and then we're gonna play that 5 chord, and you can also play a G major 9 chord. So G major 9, if I take that, a G major 9 chord is, and then added 9 is this over here. So if I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I just bring this guy down here, and I take out that 7th tone. It's still a G major add 9. So the first two chords, we know this is a minor 9, and then C major add 9, and then that's a G major 9, and then this is an D minor 7, or I just add a little grace note. Or if you can add this, make this like an added 9, like an F major added 9, but just to playing that D bass. So these are just like a few simple things, same idea, but we're just adding a little bit more flavor. Okay, basic chords, expanded chords. Okay, now this is just a basic idea of how to expand chords, so hopefully this stuff is helpful, but there are so many ways you can enhance chords and progressions and really make a song sound beautiful. But this is like the basic foundation. You have to have a good solid foundation of the scales, all the scales, understand chords, how they're built, understanding chord extensions, major 7th, minor 7ths, minor 11s, major 9s, all this good stuff. And they're very, very simple. And when you understand how to do these things, it's very easy for you to add a little bit more spice to your playing. And the reason I know how to do this is because I understand these chords, and it's very, very simple because I understand how to play in all 12 keys, and I know how to change up the voicing and the feel based on just say using those same simple progressions. So okay, so hopefully you guys found this helpful. If you like it, go ahead, give it a like, comment, and subscribe. I think I'm going to make this into an ongoing series just to give you guys some tips to help you improve your playing, expand your chords, and we're going to have fun with this. So go ahead, give it a like, comment, subscribe, leave your feedback in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Yeah, take care.